Okay, well, here we go. We are live. Thanks a lot for joining us. Hope everyone was waiting for this session. So, guys, we have Wam. He will be talking about his Wololo experience, what has happened, what has gone. I hope you are hearing him. So, go ahead, Wam.
Well, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, very
You're
happy
welcome.
and excited to show you guys all my drafts and my games versus Vortex and MarineLorD and whatever you guys are interested in discussing. I
Yes, please.
actually have
This is
my
this is what we're exactly after. One more thing is we are just thinking about how were you reacting to the saves and the maps that they were choosing. So how are you countering them?
I mean, I have a big process going into these, especially these smaller tournaments because you really get to not pick your opponent, but you have a lot of time to prepare against your opponent in particular. I actually have my book here of, that I had at Wololo, so I have some information here as well. Um, I'm gonna start with the maps, because for me it always starts with the maps. Um, so I had to ban Holy Island. If I can show you guys the map draft here. My first map ban was Holy Island. Vortex is very good at water. Water is something that I struggle with a lot. This is something I banned in every single matchup. It's just easier to get that out of the way so I don't have to think about that. Um, and then I have to decide what he's probably going to ban. My initial assumption was that he would ban Hillandale and Sakatra. He did ban Sakatra, but it actually allowed me to get Hillandale, which was one of the maps that I practiced quite a bit. And surprisingly, he banned Calasan first, which is something I didn't really expect, which gave us a map pool I was pretty comfortable with. I did end up banning Arabia because Vortex is very strong on aggressive open maps. Front range, Old Land, Arabia. But obviously I can only ban one of them, that being Arabia. Um, Also it's important for me, it was important for me to know which maps were kind of, I call them indifferent maps, but maps that were going to be in the map pool no matter what, because I wasn't going to ban them, Vortex wasn't going to ban them. Those maps was Frisian Marshes, King of the Hill, Baldland, and I would put Front Range in there because I would rather ban Arabia than Front Range.
And why would they
With that
ban
being
Dry
said,
Arabia?
why Dry Arabia?
Yes, why do you want to ban it? It's one of the most famous ones.
I mean, it's a good question, but it is one of the most famous ones and one of the most consistent maps in tournaments, right? I
Yes.
wanted to ban it because Vortex is very good on open aggressive maps. French, China. I wasn't as comfortable, to be honest, on this map in particular. His Delhi is also very, very good, and Delhi is kind of weak in this map pool, except on Arabia. So I didn't want to have to deal with that.
Got you.
Yeah, so I was pretty happy with this map pool, and I think as well I got a pretty consistent one versus MarineLorD as well. Um, so not too much to talk about the maps here, but very happy with that. The Civ drafting is where it gets a little bit more interesting because there's many, many, many more options with Civ drafting, and it really depends on the maps you get. And I'm not sure how many viewers were aware of the Civ drafting changes up towards the tournament,
I
but
guess it was
Red
the
Bull,
winner who is choosing the map, not the loser. Am I right?
uh, sorry, in what context? Like,
So I mean, first map is King of the Hill, but then the winner would choose the next map, not the loser. Am I correct, or how was it going?
yeah, yeah. The first map is King of the Hill, and then whoever loses chooses the next map.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so they get to like kind of pick where they want to play the next scenario, right? in that case. And that is an interesting thing to note because when you go into these drafts, it's always good to have like a backup pick. Like if you do end up losing your map, you have a map that you would want to pick second. And actually, my second map here was Baldland. If I had lost King of the Hill, I would have picked Baldland. So it is important to know. Um, so I actually have like 4 civs that I would consider really, really good right now. That being MarineLorDs, Sengoku, Ottomans, and China. Now, every single matchup I had, I auto banned China because it's just a civ that I'm not super familiar with. And in this draft, these are global bans, which means if I ban a civ, nobody can play it. I can't play it, Vortex can't play it.
Okay.
Which in my opinion is um it makes it like you kind of want to target your opponent's civs that they're good at. And I think Vortex is quite good at China and French. So that's why I banned those civs in particular. And also I'm kind of weak on both of these civs, I would say. And Vortex banned Byzantines and Zushi. I'll get into that a little bit later on. But obviously, I think people think, and I think, my Byzantines is one of the strongest civs, so I wasn't too surprised by this one. The Zushi one was a little bit more interesting. Yeah, so with these civs banned, it gives me the option of what to first pick. And I could have went first pick Sengoku Daimyo or Ottomans, but I have been really successful with MarineLorDs in particular. And in this map pool, MarineLorDs can pretty much be played on every single map here, which is really important because we only get 6 civs to choose from. And
Yes.
yeah, when you get 6 civs to choose from in a best of 5, essentially every civ has to be picked. Uh, because if you get to the last map, they snipe the remaining civ, and that gives you 5 civs. So it's really important that every civ you pick has to be strong on at least as many maps as you can play. And MarineLorDs in particular is very good on all of them. And I'm comfortable with them, so I first picked MarineLorDs. However,
Vortex
that
picked
leaves
Japanese.
yeah, he did.
Mm.
Vortex it left Vortex with a lot of options, like Sengoku Daimyo, Ottomans, also very two strong picks. And I'll tell you what, I wasn't super happy with him getting these 2 picks because I do consider them to be top tier picks. Um,
That's strange
and
because
he got
in all the tournaments everyone is banning or sniping Sengoku, but he has it and he didn't use it.
he didn't use it actually, and I'm not even sure if I even got the opportunity to ban it that much. I banned it once here, just
Okay.
going through these drafts, but he didn't pick it that often, which is you're right. It's kind of interesting to note. Maybe he doesn't feel as comfortable with Sengoku, but I didn't really even have to deal with it that much at all, actually. Ottomans, I did have to play against, and I
Yeah,
do
this was
consider
his one
Ottomans.
win with Ottomans.
Yeah, well, it was. I do think Autumn's is quite strong, yeah. And it's another Civ with a lot of like strong options for these maps. Like all of these maps are pretty good for them. Yeah, now that he picked these two. So this is kind of where it gets interesting, to be honest, because I only have 2 picks here, and there's a lot of viable options. In my like in my opinion, and I was practicing a lot up into towards this tournament, right? And I like the Japan, Albids, and Golden Horde are very close in strength, in my opinion. And given the map pool, King and Hill, very good for Albids. Hill and Dale, very good for Albids. Baldwand, very good for Albids. Frisian, it's decent, but I didn't have that much experience with it. Um, so
But
I really
if
did want Albids in this matchup.
if I may ask you, what you mean with they are good, Ayyubids are good at these maps? What is their advantage on this map?
Yeah, of course. So King of Hill is one map in particular that I was practicing a lot with Albids, and the advantage they have is it's very easy to get Castle Age on King of the Hill, in my opinion. Your wood line is protected. Uh, I mean, sometimes your gold can spawn forwards, but in that case, you just default to your wood line, which is in the back of your base. Besides, like how easy it is to get Castle Age with Albids, another thing is Albids really does well when the map is constrained, in my opinion. Like Mountain Crewing, Sakatra, King of the Hill, because their Manganiques is so strong, and well, infantry is a little bit better on these tighter maps. You really have to commit to infantry against Albids because their cav is so dominating. So if they go cav Manganique, for example, it's really difficult to play the game versus Albids. I'll give you an example because Albids Japan was a matchup that I ran into quite a lot. And it's actually the reason I didn't go Japanese here as my third pick, even though I think a lot of people would assume that Japan is probably one of those top tier civs. But the issues I was running up against Japan versus Albids is that both civs would kind of go Castle Age, right? Because they're both Castle Age kind of civs. And Albids would just kind of out-tempo Japan. They'll third age landmark. You could either go Desert Raiders. You have a lot of options as Albids, actually. But they're all very good. Against Japan, I would go Desert Raiders. And you'd essentially just dominate them with your camels. Because the camels, even though Mounted Samurai are very good, the camels are good enough that with your eco bonuses, you just dominate Japan, especially with the Desert Raiders on top of that. It gives you another option to go different kind of cav to beat Japan.
So with Desert Thread
And
especially because they just are as slashers or just as melee. So ranged or melee.
yeah, so melee is very good initially against like if let's say they're going Mount Samurai, like you can just go melee and just beat them 1-to-1, cost for cost. But let's say they go Onimusha, let's say they go Spearman, then you have that ranged option. And the variance of what you can do with Desert Raiders and camels in general makes Albid really strong in Castle Age, especially early Castle Age. It's hard to keep up with them.
But you prefer
Yeah.
Desert Raider to Camel Lancers?
Um, I prefer Desert Raiders if they're going mass cav, like if they're
Okay.
going knights, for example. Otherwise, I'll prefer camels. Yeah,
Mm. Okay. Thank you.
yeah, of course. Um, yeah, I really like Albids on these like more like Fast Castle kind of maps. Baldland is another one where Fast Castle is pretty good because you have a lot of sheep. So it's a really nice map for Albids as well as Hill and Dale. It's easy to get Castle Age and just kind of utilize your cav to get map control. And Golden Horde is another interesting one because this kind of ties into Albids a little bit as well as Japan. And again, it's one that people might think maybe you should have picked Macedonians or Japan here, but I was quite scared to get Albids against Golden Horde on any of these maps actually. King of the Hill, Boulderland, even Hill and Dale would have been kind of scary. And the reason is just because Golden Horde in particular, it's very hard to fast castle against them. Their Torgud have a lot of ranged armor. They're very tanky. So if you just try to naked fast castle against these civs, they're just gonna dive you and do so much damage that I think you're kind of dead in most situations. Japan is the kind of obvious one where if you try to fast castle, and this is pretty obvious in most of the tournaments we've seen, but if you're keeping up like actively with the tournaments, Vortex against Puppy Paw on Hill and Dale actually. Puppy Pod was Japan, Vortex was the Golden Horde, and Puppy Pod just died in Castle Age to Vortex's Golden Horde. So this civ in particular, very hard to fast castle against them, which is why I wanted to pair it with Alberts.
Yeah, I saw
Um,
that. Exactly that. So you
yeah,
just took Golden Horde to prevent Vortex from taking it.
yeah, and he's also a very good Golden
Mm.
Horde player. Yeah, so yeah, that was pretty much it actually, and I do like the sim myself, but more of like a denial pick than anything. Yeah. Yeah, and Vortex ends up taking Japan, Macedonians. Two civs I also do enjoy, but with these kind of drafts, there's and you're gonna when we go over the MarineLorD games, you're gonna see that a lot more. But depending on the bans, we get sometimes we get stronger civs, sometimes we get weaker civs. If you ban two weak civs, you get stronger civs, and uh, Vortex, I would say, in my opinion, has a better draft here. I don't mind my draft. I got a lot of the civs I'm very, very comfortable with. MarineLords, Albids, Golden Horde. But he has Ottomans, Sengoku, Japan, Macedonians, and these two civs in particular, I think are quite strong. And I'll go over Japan in a second here. Um, and Macedonians as well. So Japan is, in my opinion, one of the civs that it's a little bit weaker than MarineLords, than Albids even, than Golden Horde, than Ottomans or Sengoku, the civs that have already been picked. But they also do quite well on pretty much every single map that is available. Like you could place Japan on King of the Hill, you could play Japan on Hill and Dale, Frisian Marshes, Front Range. Not a huge fan of Baldwin, but still you could do it. And the reason being, I would say, is because Japan is one of the most flexible civs in the game. You can play Japan Feudal Age, you can play them Dark Age, you can play them Castle Age, you can play them Sustained Feudal Age, Fast Castle immediately. Um, they're 75 wood bow, super flexible. They're H2 landmark in particular, a lot of value if you want to stay feudal age. So while they don't have any maps in particular that they really at, I think one of the civs that valuable within its
Sorry, Wam,
in the
your voice is echoing. I guess it's cutting.
its
I
echo.
don't know.
Uh, I'm not sure. Is it still
Yeah, it's
echoing?
it's it's back now. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Of course. Um, yeah, so while Japan isn't strong on a particular map, I'd say they're a nice civ to have in any draft in this kind of format. So Macedonians is an interesting one as well because they're one of the civs I actually practiced quite a bit and had a lot of success with, but I didn't really get to pick them against MarineLorD or Vortex just based on how the draft went. But in my experience, Macedonians, we used to play them on Frisian, and I think they're still okay on Frisian, but you're gonna see in this series in particular, they didn't work out, and I'm not a huge fan of them on Frisian. Pretty good on Hill and Dale, pretty good on Front Range, decent on King of the Hill. So the only reason I didn't prioritize them too much is because I think that they're not as strong on most of the maps. Just because I think they honestly Macedonians is a little bit of an odd civ, but I think, in my opinion, they're not super great in extended feudal age. Uh, because you just don't mine that much gold for your upgrades. In my opinion, you want to get them to castle age pretty fast. Not, it doesn't need to be immediate because you do have your stronghold defense emplacement. So if you do need to defend in feudal age for a little bit, you can use that as a defense. But you do want to get castle age pretty fast. In my opinion, Hill and Dale, you can do that. Front range, You can play that defensive feudal age with the emplacements. You can do that if you like. King of Hill, you can fast castle, but I'd say you're a bit weaker than Albids, which is why I would pick Albids first.
Yeah, clear enough.
Yeah. Let's go over these ones as well. So regarding, I actually had a few water civs that I was highlighting before. I have it in my notebook here. Yeah, so the water civs would be Abba, Two Clock, Mongols, and Atri. Now, the reason, so I'm picking the water civs at the end here because they're not very good on these other maps, right? So while Mongols, Abyssin might be good on Frisian, they're not going to be good on Front Range, Boldland, King of the Hill, Hill and Dale. And you can see Vortex kind of did that as well with 2 Clock. In a different Civ draft where you have more options, maybe you could pick these a little bit forward. But since you only have 6 Civs, and you basically need to play, you know, everyone essentially, you can pick which one you play at the end, right? All of the Civs need to be good. And Abba's just not good enough to pick them higher up, even though they're really good on Frisian, I would say. Same with Itri and Mongols. Mongols, good on Frisian, decent on front range. That's about it. So, pretty much covers these civs here.
So you chose opposite against Macedonian and you won them. So
I
that
did.
was that was epic, to be honest. We don't see that
Actually,
much.
it was a super, super nice win for me. Um, his Macedonians was 4th picked, mine was 6th picked, and I was really happy when he banned Mongols in this second map in particular, because I think Abba Macedonians is actually Abbasid favored. Obviously he didn't think that, but my practice was definitely favored Abba, so I was super, super happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw your transition from feudal. You're having spearmen, some archers, and then you move to crossbows, and then you didn't depend on camels much, I guess.
I maybe should have built a few more camels. I did look back on that game and thought I did maybe build 1 or 2 at the start, but then I'm just like, these might get sniped. I don't know. But hmm. I mean,
Yeah,
Abba
that
has
was
so
strange, to be
many
honest,
good
because I
units.
guess
Like,
everyone would go for camels against Ridari, but you didn't.
yeah, I didn't. I don't know. Abba has a lot of nice units to use. Like, they have their upgrades for their spearmen, their archers, like, mix in a few expos. Abba, I think, is a bit underrated, to be honest. Like, I think they're actually kind of decent in a lot of situations. It's just hard to get them to that point, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised by his Roos pick. I mean, I was actually going to play them if I had Hill and Dale and King of the Hill. Um, but I don't think he actually ended up even utilizing them, so
No,
I'm not
the
sure that
last
was a
one
great
he
pick by
was
him.
Tuglek, I guess.
Yeah, 2 clock. I
Yeah,
think the
it was
last
Golden
map would have
Horde
been,
versus Tuglek on board land.
yes, one bald one. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you want to cover each individual game. I guess we should, right?
Yeah, if you have time, we can go ahead quickly. Then we can jump to MarineLorD.
Yeah, let's jump. Let's cover each game quickly. So this is King of the Hill. Um, I was very I was very happy to get King of the Hill. It's a map that I practiced and was very successful with. And these two civs, Malians, Albids, um, probably my most consistent civs on this map in particular. He actually sniped Albids, which I was a little bit surprised by, but not happy with because my Albids had consistently beat Japan whenever I went up against them, and I was automatically going to ban Ottomans. So this matchup I was a little bit surprised by, but again, my Malians very good. So like I was satisfied knowing that I could win this matchup. We could. I'm not sure if I have the game in front of me. Probably not, but yeah, probably not at this point. But
It's kind of a problem. So, you made me try millions. I didn't like them, but after I saw what you done, it was amazing, to be honest.
you you didn't like them, or do
I'm
you
not good
now?
with them. I'm a good
You're
player
not
in
good
the
with.
end, so I'm not good at any. But I love Abbasid so much.
Oh,
They are
okay.
my first.
Oh yeah, that's nice. I like Abbasid too. I think Abbasid is one of like the vanilla defensive. They're so honestly they're such a nice civ because they have no gimmicks. They're just like straight LTS macro gameplay, and I love that.
Yes, exactly. It's nice to hear good things about them from you. Because, in our skill level, they're saying Abbasid are not good. You will lose with them.
Yeah.
They don't have any valuable units. But you have another point.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the great thing about Age of Empires 2 is that, honestly, the consensus, while it might be right for even a little bit, there's so many different contexts where it's actually not, which is really nice. Yeah, this game, Malians versus Japan, essentially, I was Malians in this situation for me was just defending the entire game and just trying to not take too much damage. I took a little bit of damage at the start of the game, trying to get that pit mine up, but that was essentially it. After that, I got the pit mine up at the far north. Um, I did a little bit of damage to his villagers when he was trying to age up to Castle Age. I did a little bit of damage poking his Yumi and his knights when he was trying to be aggressive. And just doing a little bit of damage with Malians with your Javelin Donzo comp is one of the best ways to get value with them because they have the Javelins, they have very, very strong early game trading between their compositions. Um,
I
and
have
once you
one
can
question
survive,
here. When
yeah,
you choose when to attack Vortex, and at the time he was creating outgoing fast castle. So is there a time window for this? How did you know? Or just you scouted? Or you felt that it's time for it?
yeah. Well, I could have scouted a little bit better maybe this game, but I kind of saw he wasn't making that many units, right? I saw a few on a Bigishu, a few Yumi, and I'm like, if he's being super aggressive here in Feudal Age and not fast castling, we should probably see some more units here. And I just kind of sensed it, to be honest, because Japan is very this kind of like fake aggression to fast castle style is very popular with them. And the one reason I thought that I could do some damage to him is just this is the kind of Malian style that I play a lot. It's get your production down, that being Barak, Archer Range. You can go stable if you want, but I like to get those two down first, the Archer and the Barak, so that you can make your Donzo Javelin comp. And that composition pretty much takes care of every single thing in the game. Um, pretty much, honestly. And I'm just trying to make as many of those units as possible and push out on the map.
Yeah, clear enough.
That's my idea. Yeah. Um, and after he gets like a decent bit of units and I've done a decent bit of damage, I'm just trying to defend, get Castle Age because I have my Calboom going. And this is kind of the timing when you're trying to age up when he's pushing your base. And he has knights, he has H3 upgrades, he has a decent Yumi ball. And I'm just kind of getting there, is when this is the most dangerous part of the game for Malians. And this is usually the part where if anywhere you're gonna die, it's gonna be then. Um, but in this case, I had done quite a bit of damage. I was aware that this timing was the most threatening. So all I did was just defend behind my TC, try to take as many Yumi out as possible, have as big of a Donzo ball as possible, because if the way that you die in this situation is just not having enough Donzos. you can take care of the Yumi, but you can't take care of the knights. So you really need a big Donzo army to take care of that. And after that, I pretty much won that game, to be honest, after I defended H3 there.
Yeah, it
So
was amazing defense.
yeah, that was a nice game, I think, honestly. Yeah. And moving on to game 2 here. So I was surprised because he got to pick the next map and he went for Frisian. Now, I guess he did that because he had 2 clock, so he automatically could pick the civ that he wanted beside 2 clock, because I had to ban 2 clock. It's too broken. But he picked Macedonians, and I thought maybe he would pick Ottomans, but he picked Macedonians. He gave me Abbasid, obviously. And again, I was super, super happy with this matchup. Um, to give you guys some context, I played Puppy Paw in this matchup a few times actually, where I was Macedonians and he was Abbasid. And it pretty much went this way every single time. Macedonians tries to kill Abbasid, they basically can't. Abbasid gets Castle Age, just makes way too much for Macedonians to take care of, and and just wins the game. Like, it's that simple, which is kind of stupid, but
You
yeah.
practice with Puppy all the time, or you have other partners to practice? Of,
Um, I
of
probably
course, you're
for
practicing with fourth or fifth on the world, but I mean, are there any varieties?
yeah. For this tournament in particular, mostly, well, only Puppy Paw and MarineLorD. But for other tournaments, I'll practice with a bunch of different people, like MSN or Voldy. Um,
Mm.
yeah, so most of the time, many people, but this tournament, because there's only 4, it was only Puppy and MarineLorD. Yeah. But Puppy is such good practice, honestly. He is really nice. And he always tries to find things that people wouldn't expect and think good things that people wouldn't expect. Like, he's not gonna stop playing opposite just because somebody else says they're bad, which is, I mean, it's kind of helped me win this game, which was really nice that I had this pick. Um,
Then he's the fifth of the world or something, so he's a very good practice. You are not practicing with me. He's who is. Send my salute and hi to him.
yeah, yeah. No, he's really good. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, this game, not even that much happened, I think. Like, he killed my docks. I got a nice pick on his when he was building his H3 landmark. But other than that, I kind of aged up with a bunch of ultras and spearmen, like you said, built some expos, and yeah, just kept him contained in the base. And that's the best way to kill a lot of these players is just keep them contained, especially Vortex, who is super, super aggressive.
He couldn't trade you much at all in this game. Whenever he was
No,
trying,
no,
your spearman was killing him.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I almost don't want to talk about this game because this game was a bad game by me, but um this game was tough because I did not play this game that well, but I kind of went into this game knowing that this was going to be a tough game. Um so after Frizzy Marshes, he picked front range
I can tell you.
and
Front range, yes.
yeah, front range. And I went into this thinking because once he picked these 2 civs, 2 clock and Ottomans, I was like, well, I'm picking 2 weak civs here. He's picking a weak civ and a strong civ. If I give him 2 clock and I don't win this game, I'm setting myself up for possibly a bad scenario where he comes back 2-3, 3-2. And I don't want that to happen. I want to pick where he plays 2 clock. I'd rather him play 2 clock on Baldwand than front range. And so I essentially just gave him Ottomans. I said, I'll give you one of your best civs. I'll play HRE and I'll just try to win this. And I didn't. I
I
didn't play the game that great, but
I
yeah.
have a comment about HRE, but in Marine's Lord match, because it was
Hmm.
strange for me that you picked them the last ones.
I mean, we can bring that up too because I have that here, but in the MarineLorD one, I didn't have a lot of options either. This was the final game, right? And actually, in MarineLorD's draft, I had played Malians, Japan, Golden Horde, and 2 Clock. So I only had Sengoku and H3,
And he banned Sengoku.
and he banned Sengoku. Yeah.
Now it's clear for me.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like there's so many of these rules that people don't see, but they really impact the game, like for sure.
I didn't understand that, to be honest, so thanks for clarification.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, in this game, I mean, it was a really bad start. If yeah, I he killed like I think it was 3 villagers on my gold mine. Like I wasn't paying attention. Like I don't know how that happens, but I'm gonna chalk that up to like nerves and
Yeah,
so
they did the
this was a
trust.
bad game for me. Like
Yeah, that's why I was surprised when you picked them against MarineLorD. I mean, they weren't your best pick, but you chose them again in a decisive match like the end one. But now you
yeah, and
clarified it.
actually I actually had some success with Atri in practice. Like not a lot because they're one of the weaker civs. I had some success, and it just both of these series it just didn't turn out well for me. So maybe I need to rethink that. But that's always part of practicing, and some things work out, some things don't,
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
and this just didn't work out for me. Yeah, in the final game against Vortex, again, I picked Baldwin. He won, so I picked Baldwin. We had played Ottomans. So most of my weaker picks had actually been played, and most of his stronger ones had been played. Um, and going into this one, yeah, I had Albids and Golden Horde. So 2 very strong picks. Again, I noted on Baldwin in particular. These were 2 of my favorite picks. So I went into this match pretty much very favored, in my opinion. And also, like, the mental was there, like, I have to win this match or else I could potentially, like, he could beat me in this series. And I knew that him picking 2 Clock here gave me a massive advantage, and I was kind of setting myself up for that in the previous game. Um, but actually, this matchup, Golden Horde versus 2 Clock, the one I got, I wasn't super familiar with, and I think Beastie, I might be wrong on this, but I think Beastie thinks this matchup in particular is kind of difficult for Golden Horde. Um, but in my experience, and this 2 Clock build is kind of new, the fort near the gold mine, and you could just kind of camp. And Vortex actually did it quite well. But in my experience, going fast castle versus 2 Clock is probably the best approach, just because 2 Clock's upgrades are very expensive. The forts are good at defensively, but their economy isn't that great. So while you're going to be strong defensively, you're not really going to be able to match that eco, especially if the opponent is getting value from their age up, getting the relics, getting the map control, etc. And that was my game plan. Just fast
I,
castle.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you know or noticed this, but Vortex delayed the governor of the fort, Bakar, like he lost allowed 1.5k food.
We're only 1.5k. I didn't think it was that much. Wow.
Actually, it was Kiliardi who told me that. So you better check this.
Okay.
He was nervous, I guess. Vortex was nervous to forget this. Even a player like me, why didn't he check the governor yet?
You must have been a little bit. I mean, yeah, that's a pretty big mistake, honestly. In I think Vortex, in my opinion, a lot of the matches he played okay, but he could have played a little bit better. But even like besides the fort, the governor, I think he played this match pretty good. Besides that, of course, um, he was defending quite well. I was struggling to find damage. I found a few villager picks, but nothing substantial. And I was kind of going into the mid game, kind of worried that this game was actually favoring him. Um, so it's kind of a concern. But this game in particular, not that much happened, I'd say, until the final fight. And then the final fight, I just kind of steamrolled him.
Yeah, exactly. There is one
Yeah.
question here from Name and Lose. Why Macedonian were played on Frisian? Uh,
Yeah. Why did Vortex play it there?
yes, because you blocked Tuglak, I guess.
Yeah, I did block 2 clock, and honestly, I wouldn't have played Macedonians there. I did explain this a little bit as well, but
Yes,
Macedonians was a very popular pick on Frisian going into this tournament. And it's kind of interesting because a lot of the previous tournaments have an impact on the future tournaments. Like, you might see Abbasid more in Frisian in the next tournament because it was
because of you.
successful in this one. Yeah. Um, so in my opinion, like the past is kind of shaping Macedonian's future a little bit, and this is kind of the situation where it's actually not that good, I think, but he picked it because it worked before. So it's kind of a little bit of that going on there.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Yeah. I think we can move on to MarineLorD
Yes,
if
please.
unless anybody has any additional questions on Vortex's series, but I
I
think
see nothing except from Name and Lose, so you can go ahead, please.
okay.
We are very delighted with this overnight, over Middle East. This is 12 a.m. We are in Wednesday already. I see night, morning is there, sun is there,
Oh my God.
and
Oh,
I'm enjoying
that's
it to be honest. Thanks a lot for being with us tonight.
yeah, of course, of course. Um, so MarineLorD, this was an interesting series and one that I hadn't prepared as much about because I went into the tournament knowing I was going to play Vortex. I didn't go into the tournament knowing I was going to play against MarineLorD. So a lot of the things that I had to come up with was a lot.
They changed
Um,
it because Annotant could not appear, so they changed the opponents.
well, they did change the opponents, but like I was always going to play Vortex, for example, but I might have lost against Vortex, right? Or Puppy Paw could have beat MarineLorD, for example. Um,
Ah,
so my most immediate game plan was just getting past Vortex. Uh, Maybe I need to prepare a little bit more next time, but and I did a little bit, but at the same time, like um, my French China ban that I had versus Vortex, I did ban China, but I wasn't exactly sure what to ban secondary against MarineLorD. This ended up being Byzantines, which I was happy with, but not as prepared. And yeah, so the drafting against MarineLorD was a little bit. Uh, Actually, I was quite happy with it because the Red Bull staff production told us pretty much like you want to prepare your drafting everything before you go on stage, because they had I think it was a 64-piece orchestra that they were playing behind us the entire time,
yes.
so it wasn't that
You weren't focusing.
yeah, there wasn't that much room for like a lot of thought and stuff like that. So most of what I prepared I actually have in front of me in my notebook here, but I was actually very happy with the way this draft went. And even here, like I think maybe one thing was different, and I think the only thing that was different was Marino had first picked Arabia. Um, that was the only thing I didn't suspect. I thought he might have done something different. He first picked Arabia, not that big of a deal. Um, but I was a little bit shocked by that. Again, banned Holy Island, he banned Hill and Dale. Not surprising. MarineLorD also banned Hillandale against Puppy Paw immediately. In practice, he was actually banning Hillandale quite a bit as well, so I wasn't shocked by that. I did think he was going to possibly ban Sakatra, which allowed me to pick Sakatra first, because I knew that Sakatra was something he might be banning, because I was beating him quite a lot as well. So after that, he picked Frisian, he banned Calasan, and I banned Baldwin. In hindsight, the reason I banned Baldwin over Front Range, even though I think a lot of people, even myself, I would consider maybe I'm a little bit better at Baldwin. It's a little bit of a better open map. Was just because in this draft, I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to get Albids, because I didn't really want to second pick Albids here. Just because there's not that many, in my opinion, really, really great Albids map in this draft that we got. If he hadn't banned Hillandale and it was like Baldwin, Hillandale, King of the Hill, like the situation where I was up against Vortex, I could have picked Albid second, but I wasn't super comfortable with that, so I banned Baldwin instead of Front Range. And I think Albid's is a little bit is kind of bad on Front Range, so that's why we have this map pool. And again, we have King of the Hill first. So very happy with this map draft initially. Yes. Now, going into the Civ bans, so honestly, again, this is something I didn't really prepare for at all, because it's hard to prepare for somebody who bans essentially dead civs, like English Abbasid, and he did ban Abbasid, which is not dead, but nobody really considers them super, super active right now.
But he knows that you are good with Abbasid, so he wanted to deprive you of it.
It, I mean, I think it's partly that, and partly he didn't want to ban really good civs. He wanted a lot of opens, like good open civs, like French. I don't know. Could have been banned, like Sengoku, Ottomans, for example. But yeah, partly he definitely wanted Abbasid off the table because he hadn't practiced that, and I had. Um, but this structure gave a lot of really good civs, and like picking Zushi fifth is kind of, I think, it's a good pick for him to have fifth. So he got a lot of good options here by doing that. And the thing I was surprised about was that he first picked Ottomans. The only reason being was that I would have thought that he would first pick Malians. I think if I do recall, he did first pick Malians against Puppy Paw. And I really do enjoy Malians, so I was hoping he wouldn't, but happy that I got it, of course. Obviously, Ottomans is really, really good, so it's not a bad pick for him by any means. Again, in the Vortex series, I noted like Malians, China, Sengoku Malians, China, Sengoku, Ottomans top 4. So he picks the Ottomans, China's banned, and it gives me these two civs to pick. Pretty happy with that. I think both of these civs are good, especially Malians. I like them. Afterwards, he goes Albids French. A bit unfortunate he picks Albids. One of my favorite civs for sure. King of the Hill again. In my opinion, might be the best civ there. French, it's a good civ. Not something I was happy that he picked French. And
Yeah,
then
his
we
home
have
country.
Japan.
He played French and I guess Jeanne d'Arc, both of them.
He did, yeah. I was surprised that he picked John Dog because I think they're not the greatest, but French, he has a very good French, I must say, and he played it very well. But but yeah, it is his home civ, and he's quite good with them. He could have picked Japan. I was thinking he might have, but Puppy Paw and I have quite good Japan, and I think you saw it in both of the series against MarineLorD. Puppy Paw won with them, I won with Japan. So very successful Japan, and it was nice to get them as a third,
Yeah,
fourth
you
pick
beat
instead
him
of
with
having to cycle
Japan
pick
in
them.
the fourth game against
Yep,
Macedonian. Yes.
yep, yeah. And that's kind of interesting because actually my Macedonians against his Japan, I won with, I'd say, a decent bit of time. So MarineLorD might struggle a bit with these two civs in particular. Kind of interesting to note. And yeah, Golden Horde, I did pick them. I did end up, this was the first game that I lost. So not the greatest pick maybe, but not a lot of amazing options. Only thing I could have picked was Zushi maybe, in hindsight, but not sure, not sure.
A lot
Yeah,
of
so he
options,
had,
a lot of probabilities.
exactly, there's a lot, a lot of probabilities for sure. He went Macedonian Zushi. Macedonian, whatever. I honestly don't think the Civ is that strong. I was fine to let him have that. Zushi, honestly, he might have. I don't want to say he might have won because he had Zushi, but that final game, I I was hesitant. I was almost thinking of banning Albids and giving him Zushi, but I just didn't end up doing that, and I was scared of Zushi, to be honest. So
Mhm.
not sure how that would have turned out, but it was a massive choice that I made, and it didn't really work out, but it could have, I guess.
Yeah, but it was strange for me that you had Sengoku and you didn't use it, and when you wanted to use it, he banned it.
Mm.
So did you have any plan for Sengoku in this draft?
Yeah, actually, I had a big plan for Sengoku, and this draft is interesting in the fact that the only map I wouldn't play Sengoku on was Frisian, and he actually ended up banning it. Not that Sengoku's that bad on that map, I just don't think they're that good.
Mm.
So I wanted Sengoku on Sakatra, and I can show you here. This is Sakatra draft pick. I tried to get him to give me Sengoku with 2 clock, but he gave me 2 clock. That's okay. 2 clock's not that bad on that map, but in my opinion, Sengoku would have been the best on Sakatra, just because the food is quite close together. Like the bull is very close to your base, the deer is very close to your base. You can even like berries, you can kind of get an order between the two. So I think Sengoku is actually very, very strong on Sakatra. Um, if I got to choose where to play them, 100% would have been Sakatra. Yeah.
You know, it's amazing how you guys are thinking or relating between maps, food sources, wood, and the civilization they would use. I'm not. I'm talking about myself. I'm not talking about this. I'm just talking about the units. But such correlation is very important, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's super important for sure. And yeah, I mean, it really depends on what your Civ does, right? Like Sengoku food sources. I think every Civ food sources, but like if you're thinking about like Albids, you're thinking like, can I fast castle kind of situation as well? Like, do I have the food for that? But yeah, it's really important. Like Adrian Pause 4, the Vera, how different the Civs are, right? Um, I think one of the best ways to do it is you just have to kind of think of what is my Civ strong at, you know? And you kind of have to think about, does this map suit that kind of play style?
Yeah, exactly.
Where were we? Yeah, so Zushi,
And the Ubits.
Iubids, yeah. um, I picked Atri and 2 clock. I was planning on trying to get 2 clock on Frisian or Sakatra. I got it on Sakatra. We don't need that anymore. Um, yeah, let's talk about the games. So, what's the order of them? 5 games. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so this first game, Um, King of the Hill, Malian's Golden Horde. I didn't have Albids. I thought he might have picked Albids actually after the Ottoman pick. I think MarineLorD did a very good job here actually. First picking Ottomans, good versus any Civ on King of the Hill. I wanted him to pick Albids because I think Malian's Golden Horde, as I mentioned earlier, Golden Horde quite good against Albids.
Because
Malian's
of
as
the
well.
fast castle part.
Exactly, yeah. And he didn't pick Albids, right? So maybe he was thinking the same thing. Maybe he thought, I don't want to go Albids up against Golden Horde, but he chose French, and I don't really want to play French against Golden Horde. So unfortunately, I didn't get the matchup I wanted. Um, I could have picked Sengoku possibly. Maybe that would have been the better option in hindsight, but again, like I mentioned earlier, I wanted them on Sakatra, so this is the matchup I got, and it did not go too well. Unfortunately, it didn't
Yeah,
go too well.
actually, earlier in the game you were controlling, but then he did a very good comeback.
Yeah, I honestly I was a little bit unsure of what he was going to do here. I should have just thought that he would just play super aggressive because that's probably the best option on this map. But I thought maybe I could get away with a sneaky Castle Age. And I macroed a little bit too heavily towards that too fast, I think, and he took advantage of that really hard. And I just got too far behind, I think, after the first fight. I tried to come back a little bit, but
I didn't leave you a chance.
yeah, he's very good at that. Like just not killing you immediately, like maybe Vortex or Puppy Paw would do, but just like kind of choking you out to die.
Yeah, just wishing,
Yeah,
come on,
Marine
kill
Lord's
me
very
and
good at
let's go
that.
to game two.
Yeah, he was great at that. But game two, actually. Um, and maybe MarineLorD did this on purpose. He thought, I'm gonna pick some mediocre civs and I'm gonna allow you to get that map. The map being front range. I picked front range just because I had quite a good number of civs on them. Like Malians I thought was pretty good. Um, Japan I thought was pretty good. And I actually did end up going Malians Japan here, so we can use those two. And he went French John Dog. Um, almost what was gonna allow him to pick French, but John Dog, I think John Dog is a little bit slow, and if I was actually surprised that he allowed me to pick Malians here because I think Malians up against French John Dog, if you don't mess up too much with them on a map like Front Range, it's super easy. And I think that was kind of shown this game, to be honest. Like, he actually got a little bit of value at the start of the game with his with John Dog. He killed like 5 Donzos. I think I killed maybe a knight, maybe two, but he got quite a bit of experience.
Yes,
And yeah, after that, it still didn't matter. Like, um,
your numbers, amazing.
yeah, like I was just doing so much damage to his units consistently all the time whenever he tried to deal damage that I just had more than him the entire time. And he really never ever was in a winning position this game.
Yeah, you
He didn't
controlled
even
it
get castle
start
aged.
to end. We have another
Yeah.
question from Name and Lose. He's asking if French is good at Socotra.
Well, that's a an interesting one too because we did end up playing French on Socotra. This was the third map, the one MarineLorD picked after we lost this map.
Yes,
Um, and this
French
is an
again,
interesting
Tugluk.
one. Yeah, this is an interesting one as well because French in the qualifiers, I think, was picked quite consistently on Socotra. I think Marino, Vortex, Luciferon as well picked French on this map. And there were changes to Socotra, e.g. Socotra, I think, that made the map a little bit bigger, which is a little bit better for night civs. Um, So I do think they're decent on Sakatra. I wouldn't personally play them on Sakatra. And actually, I had a strat going up against French in particular. I didn't end up playing Japan here, but if I had went Japan versus French, I had actually practiced against MarineLorD quite a bit in that matchup in particular on Sakatra, and I won, I think, like 3 out of 3 times I beat MarineLorD with Japan against French. So I don't think they're the greatest, honestly, but they're better than 2 clock, and I think in this matchup in particular, they kind of counter 2 clock. 2 clock, in my opinion, is not that great against Night Civs. So they're not amazing, they're not bad, but they're mediocre, and he plays a good French, and unfortunately he won this game. Even though this game was kind of nuts, actually. There was a lot of things in this game that went my way, and I still didn't
Yeah,
ended
exactly.
up not winning.
There were times
Yeah.
that I thought, okay, he's winning now. Ah, come on.
Yeah, like I trapped in all of his knights, and in hindsight, I should have pushed immediately after that. I didn't think he would build the keep that fast. I thought I would have a little bit more time there, but he did, and I wasn't really able to get any damage done, even though I killed like his entire army. So, and actually, I thought I played this game pretty decently, despite not moving the villagers. It's probably the most criticized move, and yeah, I could have moved the villagers, but the early game especially. I didn't lose any villagers. I got the fort up really fast. I got houses around that. I picked my governor. Yeah, that's impressive. Uh,
Some people from your
um,
YouTube are sending out to you, Muhammad Ali, Mahmoud Sweden. The guys are awake for you.
uh, that's good. It's good. It's like yeah, it's just sunrise, right? Or close to. You said 12 p.m., right? It's older than that
12
though.
a.m. 12 a.m. We are in the
It's
next
almost
day.
hours.
We are Wednesday
Yes.
now.
Nice. Yeah, I think yeah, he won this game. I think this was kind of a slow burn. Like it was hard to accept that I lost this game in the moment, but uh, it was pretty obvious past like after he killed all my villagers on the gold mine. So I had to GG at that point.
Yep.
Yeah, and that gives us Arabia, Frisian. So there's only 2 maps left. We only have 3 civs. He has Albids, Macedonian Zushi. I have Japan, Sengoku, Eichuri. So I still have pretty good civs. I can still win the series. But I have to win the next game. Obviously, I have to win both next games. Now, I pretty much came swinging because Dry Arabia is the easiest way for me to win the next game because I had Sengoku and Japan, 2 really good civs. And he had, I mean, he has some good civs here, don't get me wrong, but I would prefer Sengoku Japan against anything except Albids, and I can snipe Albids.
He went
Which
for Macedonia.
yeah, and he went for Albids Macedonians. I sniped Albids, and then we end up getting this matchup, Japan Macedonians, and this match was one of my better matches for sure. Um, there wasn't that much in this game in particular that I even remember. Maybe a few small mistakes here and there, but it started off with I found the deer, which was very nice. I found the deer. You can go on that immediately as Japan. It's very efficient with your house as a mill. And also I went for a barrack, so the barrack also can cover the house, if it ever gets attacked, essentially. So that gave me a nice head start that I found that. I go over to the side of the map, I see that he's walled, he's playing very defensive. So I essentially just sit back, you know, get feudal age myself, get my stable, uh, get my daimo, try to do a little bit of damage with my horseman. Nothing really happens too much this game because he decides to go castle age himself. But I'm a little bit ahead because I'm a little bit more efficient since I've been on that deer immediately. And I have quite a few nice picks throughout this game. I get a villager pick with my horseman just before he goes Castle Age. I get a numerous amount of villager picks in idle time on his villagers on the gold mine with my mounted samurai once I get Castle Age. And I pretty much defend everything. Like his horsemen harass me a little bit on the food, on the berries, but he doesn't really get any damage.
He
So
couldn't. You're very well defended.
yeah. So I was very, very happy with the situation. And then we started fighting over relics. Like this is just like a super, super standard dry Arabia, like objective kind of game. Like you're just trying to get villager picks, you're just trying to fight over relics, and then we were fighting over sacred sites. And this is kind of the way MarineLorD, in my experience, likes to play the game. He just focuses on one objective to the next. And honestly, like this is this game in particular, I felt like everything was going my way. Even though I wasn't winning by that much, like there was no situation where I was like, oh, that's really bad for me kind of thing. So I defended the sacred sites. I got 3 relics. I got quite a bit of villager picks. Um, yeah, it was a nice game, I think.
Yeah, it was nearly perfect.
And then and then we have the
It's Shuri
final game,
again.
which is Hitcher again, yeah. And we only have two picks. And like I said, all of these picks have to be pretty much played because he snipes your last pick. And I'm stuck with H3. And it's a tough one because I actually hadn't practiced H3 against Albids that much, and I wasn't really sure if he had practiced Albids on this map. I guess he had, but it I mean this is a really tough game because I think I had a lot of different options I could have done. Number one, I could have allowed Zushi. I don't think that would have been tragic for me in any sense, playing against Zushi instead of Albids, but I did. I banned Zushi. Okay. We have to take care of that. That's fine. But the next error I think I made, to be honest, was my opening. And well, like I said, I hadn't practiced this matchup at all. Like, there's just so many possibilities in this game that this wasn't a situation I had practiced. Albids is very good on many, many other maps, like King of the Hill, Baldwins, for example. So don't see them here too often. And I ended up going Dock into Barak, which was not the correct move, because he ended up going Dock into Age Up, and my Spearman was just not fast enough to actually do any damage, which was really bad. Like, I built a Barak, and I think like 3, maybe 4 Spearmen, I'm not even sure, and I got essentially no damage done. And
Yeah,
that put me
you
quite
couldn't reach.
behind. Yeah. No, I couldn't. I couldn't retreat, and it put me quite behind, honestly. The Desert Raiders that he got immediately, he went military wing. He just he just chased them down. I almost got a villager, but didn't. So things go from worse to bad. And yeah, at that point, he just starts massing Cav, and I'm essentially sat defensively in my base. Um, I was really hesitant to fight him because I knew that he already had a bigger army advantage than me. So the only way I can win this is by being super, super cautious, being super patient, and trying to get a really good fight. And I was kind of on the edge of am I too slow? Like I'm not really defending my dogs, but also if I try to defend my dogs, I think the fight is gonna be so bad that the game is gonna be over. So I was kind of on the edge sitting between the two, and I don't know which one I chose, but I didn't defend my dogs, and I didn't kill his army, and he ended up beating my army repeatedly over and over again. So it was a tough situation to be in because after like the first, maybe second fight, I was like, this game is kind of over. Like
Yeah,
So
I
it
have
was
a question
rough.
in that you're still sending horsemen, sorry. You're still sending horsemen, but I guess against desert traders, archers are better, but you moved to archers a bit late.
Yeah, so this was another topic that came up quite a bit actually, like the spearman horseman composition instead of the archer composition. And I'm not sure which one's better to be honest, but I think I did end up going MarineLorD, which makes the spearman horseman composition a little bit better. You get that extra damage, but it's a tough choice because if I was to go archers, I would definitely need to go spearman because he had a stable and he had horsemen. So I would 100% need to be building spearman as well. And he could always transition into archer horseman. Um,
And he has mobility with the with the desert traders, which you are lacking.
yeah, he does have mobility with the desert raiders, like, and I mean, there's a lot of things. Like the mobility is one for sure. Um, when do I build the archers, right? Like if he starts building, I would have need to build the archers immediately, and archers are not that strong in small numbers. So he would have been able to kill my dogs for quite a while. He did kind of do that anyway, but that part wouldn't have changed if I would have went archers. Maybe my fights later on would have been better with archers. I honestly don't know. Like
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the issue. Like I really don't know how that would have went. Like I can't give you an obvious answer. It could have been better, but I wasn't convinced and I didn't go it. So
Totally understood. We were watching and we didn't know what to do. So what about you? It was tough decision all the time.
yeah, that's funny. I mean, true, but funny. Yeah.
Well,
I don't. Do
that
you
was
guys have
very
any more
nice to hear from
questions?
you
Yeah.
about your decisions, Saves. Do you want to add any more thing?
I can't think of anything. That covers all the games. I, I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but
Yeah, sure.
I don't really have anything to add unless somebody else has like a question, I
Uh,
think.
I guess we have answered all the questions. Well, thank you so much. Sorry for my delay because of the tech part, as usual. I enjoyed the meeting so much. It was very fruitful, a lot of info. I hope people will view it and understand more about the correlation between sieves and maps, which a lot of us lack, of course. Maybe we can have another
Yeah, of
interview
course.
about this topic only because it's very important to every player.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No,
Thank you for your time.
thank you as well. Yeah, thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you. Please
It's a
send
really nice
our hi
topic.
to Papi Po. Good luck next time, inshallah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, guys who are viewing. Thank you so much for your time. See you soon in another interview. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Good night, everyone. And have a nice day to Canadians and USEs. Thank you. Bye.